like to welcome an investigative journalist, Steph Watts, who covered the Drew Peterson case from the very beginning. Also spent time with Drew at his home just after Stacey vanished. Steph, thank you so much for your time. I know you saw this. What was your biggest takeaway from this interview with Drew?
Well, my biggest takeaway is Drew's continuing to victim bash. All these years later, he was blaming Kathleen for having a temper. He was saying Stacey had issues of running away in her family because her mother did. So the continual victim bashing. Drew Peterson needs to remember that he is in prison because a jury convicted him for the murder of Kathleen Savio.
Michael Kurkowski was the perfect front for this kind of an operation. I mean, he was a stand-up father and a son. You would never have imagined that that pharmacy was the backdrop for one of the biggest drug dealing operations in the country.
You certainly know that Casey Anthony has repeatedly admitted to lying. So what are the chances she is now suddenly telling the truth?
Well, I have a great idea. Why didn't you tell the truth in 2008 when investigators requested you? Or even better idea, why not tell truth at trial? Now we're hearing this story, this fictitious story. I think if you want to know a horse, look at its track record. Look at Casey Anthony's history.
Her phone just stopped ringing. I knew that she was in danger.
Myrtle Beach, it's beautiful. Unfortunately, there's a much darker side to it.
Brittany's in Myrtle Beach and they can't find her.
Joining me now, investigative journalist Steph Watts, who was embedded with the Holloway family at one point, also spent time with Vandersloot back in 2010 as part of his reporting. Steph, thank you so much for your time. So he's confessed now. He's saying he's a changed man, but why do you think we're only hearing this now, nearly 20 years later, and it happens to be attached to this plea deal?
Well, it's interesting, Nicole, the story that you're hearing now. If you actually go back to what he said originally, it's not that far off from the original story that he said that he was with Natalie the night she disappeared on a beach. Now he's come clean and said the details of what happened, but many people believe still to this day that he didn't act alone. If you saw the graphic nature by which he murdered and bludgeoned to death Stephanie Flores back in 2010 on the exact same day, 5 years to the day that he murdered Natalie Holloway, we all wondered and had to believe that that wasn't the first time that he had killed somebody.
Journalist Steph Watts makes an arrangement with the Savio family to document the autopsy as it happens.
Dr. Bodden would be able to report whatever he found once he performed the autopsy, good news or bad news, to the family. I was allowed to be in the room and film Dr. Bodden and write a report about everything I saw.
How would you describe the condition of the body?
In not very good condition.
We have to go straight back with the family.
At the end of the autopsy, Dr. Bodden and I leave. We meet with the family, and he tells the family that he's 100% certain that Kathleen Savio was murdered.
If you don't think that this story could get any darker, stand by because it does.